Oh, hi. Nice to see you there. I just watched some videos by Shelbizzle, and that was really cool because she's doing this series at the moment of unaesthetic zero waste things. So, things that she has in her life which are not pretty, they don't look good, you kind of don't really want to put them on Instagram, but they are sustainable, low waste swaps, low waste ways of doing things that make a difference in the long run. So, whilst they do not look pretty, they are doing pretty things for the planet. I think, and she mentions this, and so do several other people who make videos about low waste, zero waste life. There is such a trend towards the pretty stuff because what you see on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube is all the really nice, trendy swaps. But realistically, 90% of trying to reduce your waste is using what you've already got, making do with stuff that might not look really good, but it does the job, or gross things like composting your hair. So these are some of the things we're going to look at today in my house. Let's go.
So, leaping straight in with my compost bucket. Look at that. That is not aesthetic at all. This right here came from a friend of mine who owns a restaurant. Shout out to Owen and to Kakapoke. And basically, they just use loads and loads of mayonnaise, and it comes in these huge 10-liter buckets. And so I was like, hey man, can I have one of those? Because I need something that seals to keep my compost in. Previously, we were using a combination of smaller containers, but this one actually holds like a week and a half of our compost, so we don't have to go to the compost quite as often. While I'm here, another probably less aesthetic than it could be. These are adorable, let's be honest, but they do take up counter space. That's just regrowing scallions slash spring onions, depending on what you call them, from which country you're from. And this is my sprout jar. So I've seen, I think, Sustainably Vegan and a couple of other people have really nice, fancy sprout jars with the fancy attachments and stuff. I do not. I have a standard screw top jar. It's one of the ones that normally has the piece in the top, but it does not have a piece in the top at the moment. Just replaced it with this random piece of plasticky fabric. The plasticky fabric came into my house because it was part of like a gift bag thingy that tore, so I've like melted the edges, and now I use that to sprout seeds. This one actually is kind of aesthetic, I think. This is our surface cleaner that we use in the kitchen, and it comes from Iron and Velvet, and they give you a sticker and everything so you can make it look real flash. But this bottle, the spray bottle, is not from Iron and Velvet. It is a bottle that we had left over from, I think, some window cleaner that was here when we moved in. And this is just another example of using something like this, a plastic bendy shenanigans, rather than going out and getting one of the nice, like, brown glass spray bottles from somewhere that I would have to buy it new. I just am using this old bottle until it dies. I don't think I've ever seen an aesthetic looking under sink area, and ours is no different. This is our rubbish bin and recycling that we have in the house. So that the rubbish bin is just a old waste paper basket thing. It's kind of shredded on one side. And the one that we're using for our recycling is one that was here when we moved in. It's got a big crack. That's what the tape is for, is holding the crack closed. Yeah, and then we also keep a bunch of plastic bags that have somehow made it into our lives, stuck in the U-bend of our pipes, in case we do ever need to replace the bag. But we actually empty the bags in the bin. We empty them out and reuse the plastic bags as many times as we can. And basically, we'll only use a new plastic bin liner when we get to the point where the bin liner in there either tears or gets something really gross stuck to it, which doesn't happen often because we compost all of our foodie stuff. So really, it's only like stickers or if someone else uses that bin. I think every single one of the videos that I've seen so far talking about the unglamorous side of zero waste has talked about this. This is the cupboard full of stuff that does perfectly well, so I'm not going to get rid of it and replace it with the nice things. So we do have a number of pretty jars, which I got secondhand. Someone was moving and they were getting rid of all of these nice pretty jars with matching lids. And then we've got the generic, these are random jars. I think these ones were like spices. That one was probably like a pesto or something. And then over here we have all of the takeaway containers. So we actually probably use these ones the most because they stack really well in the freezer and you can stack them in the fridge. They hold a portion, like the best size for a portion of leftover lunch or whatever. So that is what we use a lot of the time, but then we try not to heat in them because plastics and heating, not great. But over here, pretty jars, slightly more aesthetic. Over here, not so aesthetic, but realistically, reuse what you have. Don't go out and buy new stuff. And then up at the top, we have a very random collection of some Tupperware type stuff and some keep cups. And again, all of them except for that one were secondhand or acquired. My keep cup is one that I've had for, gosh, 6 or 7 years now, and it's not very pretty. It's definitely chipped, but keep using what you got. This is our coffee machine, which is very aesthetic. But next to it, the not so aesthetic, is this compost jar that we keep on the counter. So yes, we have 2 compost bins. We have 2 compost bins in our kitchen because we have a worm farm that we use for most of our tea and coffee and worm-friendly stuff that's actually sitting out right next to Adam's desk. And then we have a community garden that we have to cycle to drop off the rest. So worms are sensitive little beasts and they can't eat citrus or garlic or onions or chilies, and we use a fair amount of those. So all of that goes into the big compost, and then the small compost, which sits on the counter next to the coffee machine, takes mostly coffee and tea. So our loose leaf tea, get a bit of a look in there. And there's some kale stems from my morning smoothie as well. So 2 composts, not aesthetic. Drying our clothes outside. Would you look at that? So we try whenever we can, whenever it's not raining, which in Dublin is not very consistent, we will try and dry all of our stuff outside. This drying rack I picked up off, I think, Facebook Marketplace a little while ago. It is not great, but it does the job, and it meant that I didn't have to go buying a new thing, which is great. And it's not very big, so we'll end up hanging some extra bits over the chairs on our balcony or on the stair rails. It works, it does the job. And we do try and dry outside as much as we can because it is quite a damp city. So if we were to try and hang dry things inside, we actually end up with a fair amount of mold. So that's not ideal. But when we can, we put things outside or we use a dehumidifier with the drying rack. This is our balcony garden. You will notice that there are not very many flowers. Actually, I've started pointing at the floweriest part, but it's mostly greens and pots that are currently sprouting. And that's because the majority of our garden is not grass or flowers, but native trees and loads of food. So for example, down here, we have some kale and spinach and Asian greens. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but it came in a free seed pack. We've got some lavender, some beetroot, some more spinach, chili plants. In the back, there's some various mixed greens for salads. And then in our pretty ugly, it's been through the wars, our greenhouse thingy, plastic greenhouse thingy, we have loads of tomato plants and capsicum or sweet pepper plants and chili plants. So most of what we have here is food, which makes it not particularly pretty, but it is super functional. And that is what we're after. We're after lots of food. And if we're going to use our limited space for anything, we're going to use it for practical stuff like growing super local food. We also use, this is only half full because this side where the random piece of plastic is where we mix our compost into the soil. So we get our soil usually secondhand from somewhere, secondhand soil. So for example, when someone is digging up their garden, if they're getting rid of some topsoil, we will go and pick it up off Facebook Marketplace or adverts or one of those trading thingies. Bring it in here and we'll mix it with coffee from the coffee shop downstairs, so used up coffee grounds, and some of our worm castings from our worm farm. And that is what we make nice, rich growing soil from. And then we put it into cups and things, and we put our little seedlings in them. The one exception to our not very many flowers thing is that several of these have some or a mixture of food and wildflowers. So these ones are wildflowers that are bee and bird friendly Irish wildflowers. It's important to get the stuff that's native to the area, and they will hopefully start blooming into some beautiful bee and bird friendly blooms. Not that we see very many birds in here in like a courtyard, but we see lots of bees. No, we don't. We see some bees. We hope to see more bees. That's the point. Believe it or not, this right here, hiding next to Adam's desk in the stairwell, is our worm farm. And it's just a broken bucket container thingy that I found in a dumpster. And I got some worms, or worm castings that still had worms in them, from a good friend of mine. And just started mixing it with various bits of dirt and coffee grounds, and this is where we put half of our compost. And it's amazing how much this small bucket, not that bucket, this bucket, can actually take. We've been using it for several months now, and it feels like it has not increased in size because they just eat everything, and it just gets really small, which is really cool. Also, it doubles as a printer table for Adam's work stuff.
So that is my house, or some of my house. That's a small piece of my house, the less aesthetic piece of my house. Maybe I should do a counter video which has aesthetic parts of my house, because I feel like now you've only seen the not so nice parts. I promise there's nice parts too. But yeah, that's some of the stuff that I do to try and reduce my waste, and it doesn't look good, it's not pretty, but there it is. So the other thing that's really important from these things is most of them did not cost me anything, or they cost me very little money, which I think is another part of zero waste, sustainable living. It can seem unattainable, it can seem elitist, but there are lots of things that still fall under the banner of low waste, eco-friendly, that are free or super, super cheap to do. For example, my stolen bucket worm farm was free completely for me to do, and now I have a worm farm, which is really cool. All I needed was no shame digging through a dumpster and a friend who happened to have a big box of worms. So I understand how that could be inaccessible for people too. Anyway, those are some of the things that I do. Let me know what you do. If there's anything in this video that you're like, what? Why would you do that? Happy to explain down below. Or maybe you're right and I shouldn't do that. Maybe there is a better way. So I would love to hear what you have to think. Thanks for watching. See you next time.